Okay, in this video I want to show you a few things on how you can work with a black and white image. Uh, the possibility is there of using the trace bitmap, but I like to show a few other aspects on how you can fill in, and if your plan is to convert this into satin stitches like these black lines. So here I just have the image loaded, and you can see that in the layers and objects that I only have one image and there are no paths or anything created yet. So to fill in, I first gonna go a little bit on if you want to use this for satin stitches. So you can still work with the image, and I'll zoom in. Now I'm going to my freehand line tool, and wherever there is a connection I will draw a small little line, and I want to have as little as possible that I'm expanding outside the outside line, and this can be a little bit time consuming depending on how your design is and how many lines there are involved, but I'll do here just a certain section. I'm not gonna do everything. It is just for showing purpose. So now I created there some lines, and you can see maybe I'll change the color on them for a moment, then they are better visible. And let me give them here a yellow stroke. So now you can see that I have created some of these little lines there, and okay, that's it over there on the top. That's good, and we can create wherever we think we would need the satin columns, because that way afterwards it takes a little bit of time to create these lines now, but it will save you afterwards for creating all your satin lines. There's only a few more left. Maybe I should go and just do them also. So there, and then two more over here. I'll change those colors too. I'll select them all here for a moment in the objects panel and change those paths. Excuse me. Okay, now that we have all these little lines created, now we can go and start filling in. And for the filling in, you can use the paint bucket, and the paint bucket, each tool here on top, it has a toolbar for that tool, and you may have to play sometimes for some images a little bit with the threshold for it to work. This is an expand, so it will look for the edge and then it will expand it by a certain amount. You can use that, you don't necessarily have to, but play with that and make yourself familiar with it. And here you can set the units of expansion on what you want, and the close gaps I use the small. And try that a few times too. Try to do a small and try to go and set it to a large, so that you become familiar with how does it fill. Also, it will make a difference on how far you're zooming in. The more you zoom in, the better it will fill in. So now all I will do is click here on, the opacity is set at 30%, so I'll change that to 100. And there you can see that I have a fill area with a stroke. I'll go and undo this for a moment and edit, undo. Also, with a tool, here in the top right corner you can see already that my setting for the paint bucket is a fill and a stroke, and I can change that by, I'm clicking now on the turning off the stroke, and as you can see this has updated. Now my fill will only have a fill color. If you want only a stroke, then you can go and set the fill to none, and you can set a stroke, and let me set a stroke and I'll show you. There you can see now I have a fill area or a path what is only as a stroke. So that way you can play with that too. And like I say, familiarize yourself with it and edit, undo. Don't want that yet. Oh, okay. Now we are back to where we were. Now I'm gonna go and set my fill for the paint bucket, and I changed it to the stroke, and I'll set it to a fill. So now my fill is set for the orange, and now you can see too the paint bucket on the screen is also the color what I have selected, and then I just go and click and it has filled in this area. Then if I want to change the color, I can go and first make a fill on the second object and then change the color, and then automatically the next one fills in that color, and I can change the color, and then my next object I can fill, and that is how I can completely fill in my whole object. So that is filling in the white areas. I'm gonna go and delete these fill-ins for a moment, because I want to show you something what can be used for. And then in the end, you want to make sure that you bring your fills to the bottom and that your satins are ending up on the top. So I'm gonna delete these fill areas for a moment, and now I'm gonna show you that we can fill in those lines. And so now the paint bucket again, select it, and now I'm clicking on that piece of black line, and that one is filled. Now I fill that one. I'll give that one a different color too then in the end. And as you can see, the reason why I put these little lines here, it will not fill in past those lines. And make that a blue and a no stroke. This way we can create quite easy our satin lines afterwards, and that will be my next part, and I'll set a fill for that. So that's all I'm gonna do for now. Now that we have these separate little pieces, they are all fill areas. They can fairly easily be converted to a satin. And that is like I did in the video I posted yesterday in the group. Now we go to the node select tool and we can zoom in. We can now I'll delete the one node there because I want the nodes nice in the corner. Now I turn off the fill and I'll give it a stroke, and the stroke is fairly wide. I can make that a little narrower. Now I go here, click on this end segment. As you can see, these I'll change the size of the nodes for a moment, then it might become a little more easier visible. So now there are two nodes here selected with the segment, and now I go here, delete the segment between two non-endpoint nodes. So that segment is deleted. Then I go to my other corner and I select there also the endpoint and delete it. Now I have two of my rails, and one rail will be going one direction and the other rail will be going the other direction. So I'll select a line segment and I will go path reverse, and now we can see that you will not be able to see that in the video. So here in the magnifier you can see that one is pointing upwards and that one is pointing upwards. So they are both going the same direction. There is also another cheating way on seeing the directions. What you can do is go to the fill and stroke style, and if there are multiple nodes, then what you can do is select here this arrow button, and now you can see that your lines, they have arrows on them. So that way you can see too that the direction of each rail is going the right direction. And you can leave them on there. That will not affect anything for creating your satin line. So I'm gonna turn that one back off. So that's how you can also do that with the direction lines. Then we create our rungs, and it depends how many rungs you want, depending on how complicated the line is. Then we select them, and I'm holding down the shift key. So I selected my rails, and the rails, that was one path still because I didn't break it apart. So you only need to click on one line and then you should have both rails, and then we go path combine, and the color has changed because I have my freehand line draw tool set at a green line, so now I'll change it back to the orange, and then we go extension, ink stitch, params, and you will see that in the params you can see that we get the running stitch along the path. So we just switch over to the custom satin column, and there we have our satin column. So I'll cancel out of that. So, and that is how you can create all your satin lines quite easily. And then you don't have to redraw everything, especially if you have some contours and there will be a little bit different shapes in one area than another area. This way you can create those satin lines quite easily. And I think then we have everything covered. Oh, one thing, yet when you're loading your image, I forgot to do that, and once you have it resized to your size, what you want, then you can the best thing to do is also select your image and lock it in place. That way, once it is locked, you cannot go and drag it, you cannot resize it, you cannot do anything with it. Then also, if you do this and creating the satins this way, if your design is fairly small and you want to have these as running stitches instead of a satin, you still can create the satin, but then after you can also go and convert your satin into a running stitch. Tool satin, convert satin to a stroke, and then apply. Oh, I did not select. I thought I had it selected, but and it shows that it's selected. Oh, now I know I did not because I didn't apply the params. Okay, let's go and do that for a moment. Ink stitch, params. So I get a running stitch here. So it was the params for the satin column, they were not applied. So now we go custom satin column, and as you can see we have the satin column, and then we go apply and quit. Now I should be able to convert that one into a running stitch. Ink stitch, satin tool, convert satin to stroke, and apply. Close. So now we can have all our satins converted into a stroke, and we can apply it as a running stitch or as a bean stitch, and we can use the out or out. But when you convert the satins, then where the one running stitch is getting close to the other satin stitch or other running stitch, you may want to go and move over a few of the nodes to make it all work better. Okay, I hope this has been informative for you and making life for digitizing easier, and have fun creating. Let me see. Oh, you see now the image is locked. No, I didn't lock the image. Why? Oh, let's see. Something is... Oh, I see. That's what the problem was. That's why I didn't see it. I thought already something seems to be funny, but the style was set to a stroke, and that is why it didn't show up. So as you can see, it was filling in, but it was only because it was set at a stroke. So yeah, that way you can have fun with it, and take care, and thanks for watching.